Merry Christmas, explorers. I'm David, that's Wesley, and this is the Trailcast.
The weekly show that gets so far off track, you'll have to stick around to see just where we end up.
Hey, Wesley, is your Sub-Zero Chillbrader running? Well, you better go catch it. That's a good one.
That's right. Today we're talking about the Grinch. More specifically, we're talking about how the Grinch stole Christmas. Because let's be honest.
How did the Grinch steal Christmas, Wesley?
I know, that's the thing. So, that being said, okay, I have a problem though, and I want to address this. Less so with some of the later versions of the Grinch, specifically the 2018 Grinch. But the original Grinch movie, right? What changes? He sees at the end of the movie that the Whos down in Whoville don't actually care about the presents or the gifts or anything like that. They're just, Christmas is more it's not a thing you can buy in the store like the thing says, the book says. But that being said, when he's talking about how much he hates the Whos at the beginning of it all, he talks about the fact that they're going to get together and sing. But then at the end of the movie or book or whatever, because the book and the movie, I mean, it might be word for word. I'm not entirely sure. I know it's really close. But that being said, at the end of it, they start singing and he's surprised and he enjoys it. So I need that to be explained to me, and then I can help you understand how the Grinch stole Christmas. I'm more concerned with the fact of how the Grinch actually got to the point where he likes Christmas now. Why does he care? He already said that he was annoyed at the fact that they were going to be singing. So why at the end of the movie does he actually like it?
I think it was what they were singing about, because, he just thought they were singing about getting toys and presents and stuff.
Yeah, but he's been doing this for 53 years, and he says it, so he's been up there for 5 decades, listening to the same things, and he just detests it. Somewhat reasonably so, too. Have you watched Matt Pat's video? He has 2 videos on the Grinch. Have you watched either one of those?
No.
So in the first one, he basically goes over the fact that essentially the Grinch is going to die not long after the end of the movie because he had a heart attack. That's his heart growing 3 sizes or whatever. And in the second one,
2 sizes too small, so.
Yeah, but I mean that's an actual thing. Like people actually it's rare, but there are actually people who have small hearts. And obviously have problems with it. But so it's an actual thing that Grinch could have, but the fact that it grew means that basically his heart he had a heart attack. His heart attacked him. Okay. That's a very inadvertent Office reference. For when Stanley has a heart attack. Dwight's like, he's like, actually, it's not my fault. It's Stanley's own heart attacked him. Anyways, and then in the second one, he talks about how the Grinch actually, has a thing where I forget what the name of it's called, but it's basically where he's sensitive to certain sounds. So think about people who are really, really annoyed with the sounds of wet noises and people chewing and stuff like that. So it's essentially like a problem like that. So he says that he basically has that problem. So all the noise, which is the Grinch's main reason for why he hates this, is actually understandable, as to why he hates Christmas. But that being said, why does the song at the end of the movie actually change his mind about it? I understand the difference, and this is what I said specifically the 2018 movie. And I'm trying to think. I got to think through most of the Jim Carrey one, but in the 2018 one, they really hone in on everyone just wants gifts. That's all it's about. And that's why he hates it. Like, essentially, that's the most reason why he hates it in the 2018 version. So at the end of it, when he finds out that that's not why they love it so much, he's like, oh, maybe I misread this. But they don't really, at least from what I just watched the original Grinch last night. From what I saw with that, it didn't look like the only reason he hated the reason he hated it really sounded like it was because of all the noise, which singing adds into that noise. So this is my question to you, David. Why did the Grinch have a change of heart?
I don't know. That's a question you're gonna have to bring up with Dr. Seuss.
And that's another thing too, and this me thinking about it a little more. The Jim Carrey Grinch, why does he specifically hate Christmas? So he doesn't like people, which I totally agree. Understandable. I don't like people either. Um, but that being said, he comes down the hill to accept the award or whatever, and in doing so, stuff happens, and it basically brings up his past, which he was bullied. And they bully him again, and then that's when he decides to steal Christmas. So even in that line of thought, there's no reason why he would actually want to give Christmas back. You know, I think Dr. Seuss wrote a flawed story.
I mean, it rhymes, so does it really matter?
Oh, my bad, my bad. It rhymes. Okay, never mind. There's no flaws whatsoever. That's all. That's all. Hey, David. That's all. I mean, like let's talk about some things that we don't like. You know, story wise. You know, Star Wars. The sequel trilogy. All it needed was to rhyme. Otherwise, it actually, in all honesty, if it did, like George Lucas said, rhymes, then like poetry, it rhymes. Then maybe it would have been good. But that's not what I was getting at. But then I dug myself into a hole. Um,
I'm
I'm
about to say
sure that.
the original 6 movies do rhyme, if you according to George
Yeah,
Lucas. Like,
yeah. Not what I meant, but I shot myself in the foot there. Pulled a Barney Five.
well, the
So
Barney Five.
technically, he never shoots himself in the foot, but he shoots the gun
Hmm.
in his holster and just
Yeah.
misses
So
probably.
I watched the Jim Carrey Grinch today, and there's a lot of no, okay, a lot of the early 2000s humor isn't as bad as whatever was in the Star Wars Christmas special, but there were some points in that movie where I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I do agree. Like, okay, as much as I like that movie, and when I was watching it with Sarah, she says like growing up, this was like her family didn't really have movies that they watched every Christmas. Like, okay, my family started watching Christmas movies in like October, okay, because there were so many to get through that they like to watch. Now, yes, about 95% of them were Hallmark movies, so there was that. But there were a couple that I liked. But she said that growing up, her family they didn't really watch that many Christmas movies, but this was one that she would watch every year. And she said the joy of watching it every year was that, you know, as she got older, she got more and more out of it because it's a movie that you can show your kids and you as an adult can enjoy too because there are a lot of things that will go over the kids' heads. And there are even some
Hmm.
things that I was watching at this time and I was like, I've never heard that before. That's interesting. Different things
Hmm.
here. Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey in that role. And Jim Carrey is
Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey in every role.
he is. And he does a great job. I will say I agree with the CinemaSins on that movie. Okay. A 25-minute original movie, right? Okay, the original movie was like 25 minutes. Um Turned into a 2-hour film. There's a lot of fluff in this movie that as much as I like it, has nothing to do with anything.
Ooh, yeah. I'm not going.
David, you gotta do the motions with that. You can't just sit there.
Well, I'm sitting down, so I can't really do the do
You
them.
gotta
But yeah,
stand up, you gotta back up, and you gotta go, ooh, I'm not going.
right. You have to do the Grinch voice. I'm not going.
Okay. I'll let
Yeah,
you
it
do.
sounds like you have marbles in your mouth. Actually, right there, it really did.
Yeah, I was about to say you got
Yeah, sounds like you have marbles in your mouth.
like you're an old man, basically, is how you sound with that. I'm not saying it's not a good impression. I'm saying it's you just sound like you have you sound like an old man.
Well, I mean, if the Grinch has been doing this for 53 years or whatever you said, I mean, he is an old man.
You gotta think about that too. Is like so in the book it says 53 years he's been doing it. In the movie it says that, and for all intents and purposes, even when you watch the other ones, okay, when you watch the other ones aside, okay, so only two then, because there's only three movies of it, which still kind of a lot in all honesty. But um the Jim Carrey one and the original one both kind of portray it as he's been up there for 50 plus years. The Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't really give you as much of a time frame, doesn't make him out to be as old. But yeah, I mean, think about it. He's like if he left when he was around 8, he's about 60.
And that's why that one line in the Jim Carrey version, like with the women who raised him or whatever, it's like, "You're alive."
Yeah, yes. Um, there's a thought there, and then there wasn't a thought there, and now I'm here. So, yeah. There is a lot to the Jim Carrey one. Like, okay, the Jim Carrey one, let's be honest here. Jim Carrey, in doing that movie, basically made a comedy special.
Mm,
Like, I mean, half of it was just him being him doing bits. Like, you didn't need half of it. There's half of it doesn't have a story to it. It's
mm,
funny, but half of it doesn't have a story to it. And you're just like laughing, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what's going on here? Like, he doesn't even get to the point where he's thinking about stealing Christmas till like an hour and a half through the movie. It's like the last 30
mm.
minutes he does the rest of it.
And I think they do actually like go through the whole book, like even like a lot of points. There's like word for word from the book, but then
Mhm.
like you said, there's just so much else in there,
Well, yeah, there's like a narrator that talks at certain times, and like he does some of the narrating that was in the
like
original,
from
which
the
was
book.
from
Yeah,
the book. Yeah.
yeah.
So they do some of that, but there's like so much other to it. I mean, like, and it doesn't. It's not a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I enjoy watching it. And growing up, I was always like, man, this is such a long movie. Because, okay, let's be honest here, David. Growing up, movies were probably like 2 hours for a movie was a long movie.
Mm,
It's sad. Nowadays, 2 hours for a movie is like standard. Like, that's normal. We're gonna watch it. It's fine. But like, man, I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, let's watch this." And they're like, "Yeah, just keep in mind it's a bit of a longer movie." You know, I was like, "Okay, cool." And we watched it, and it felt long, but it was good.
mm.
Um,
Now I think the Illumination one, the 2018 Grinch movie is shorter because it's only an hour and 30 minutes, but
mm, yeah,
that's still a lot of stuff they added in from the original. That wasn't in the original.
yeah, they do add a lot with that. I
But
mean,
I feel
they just add the side quest of him going and getting the reindeer.
which is hilarious.
Yeah, I like that.
I
I
was
would
I,
say, go ahead.
I was I actually did really like the 2018 Grinch.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that's probably my favorite one of the three. Personally,
Mm.
I like that one. I like the Jim Carrey one, but there's something about like animated movies that I just tend to like more sometimes.
It, well, okay, there's something that like they're all good movies, but
Mhm.
I think the 2018 might be my favorite too. But at the same time, you have to kind of like the original or 1966. You can't like not like that one either, because it's literally the book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you can not like it. It depends on how you feel about the Grinch. But I'll say, like, okay, in the 2018 one, they make the Grinch very sympathetic.
Mm,
You understand him. He's not a bad guy. He just does a bad thing. Um, in the Jim Carrey one, he's a goofy guy. Seems like he has something mentally wrong with him. But he's not necessarily a bad guy or an evil guy, right? In the original, the Grinch is straight up like evil. Like legitimately, he's evil
yeah.
and like out to hurt some who's. And that is one thing is like everyone like with the way that he's portrayed nowadays, the Grinch isn't seen like this, but like the Grinch is the most beloved villain of all time. He's not a hero. Like he's a straight up villain with Christmas, and everyone loves him. They don't ever think about the fact that he's actually like that big of a villain. But like if you watch the original one, like oh my, he is.
So are you saying that How the Grinch Stole Christmas was one of the first villain movies?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you got like the Dracula stuff. That's a villain. But like
Yeah,
other than that, I mean, this came out what you said 1969,
66.
66.
Think that's what I saw earlier. Hold up, let me fact check myself.
I know it's 60s. Um, but yeah, I mean, straight up villain over here. Um, I do want to talk about this though. So Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey in his role, obviously.
Hmm.
Benedict Cumberbatch is an amazing actor. An even better voice. I mean, not necessarily better, but he's an amazing voice actor. Like, if you watch that movie, personally, I can hear him, but I don't associate it with, like, okay, I don't associate that with Sherlock. I don't associate that with Doctor Strange. Like, this is a completely different character because he
Okay,
does his
okay, okay.
voice that much, just a little bit differently.
Here's something that's really really weird to think about. The Grinch, Sherlock Holmes, Dormammu, and Smaug are all voiced by the same person. I mean, obviously he physically portrays Sherlock too, but it's all the same person.
Yeah, I mean, like Benedict Cumberbatch. And we okay. Real quick before we dive into this, because I have things to say about this. What did you looked it up? What year it came out? Right,
Yeah, it was 1966.
1966. Okay, so we have the year. Um, okay, that's aside. Moving on. Okay, we talked about this. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, where I know we've had the conversation. I'll say that much. Um, but how there's a difference between celebrity or not celebrities, but movie stars and actors.
Hmm.
And there is a little crossover here and there, but for the most part, you have your actors who aren't as big, and then you have your or your movie stars who typically are like constantly going to get cast for the same roles. They're not going to change who they are most of the time. They might have a little range, but they still are like they get typecast. But like, okay, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise in everything he does. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey in everything he does. There's a bunch of people like that. Benedict Cumberbatch is a movie star that is an amazing actor. There's a little crossover. Everything that he's in, he's a different character. And like if specifically even in this one, okay, the small role that he does a really good job with that. You have to think about the fact that it's Benedict Cumberbatch. If you don't, I feel like you can watch that and not know. Same with
Mm.
this. If you don't know that Benedict Cumberbatch is the Grinch, I think you can watch that movie knowing who Benedict Cumberbatch is and not realize it's him. Like you can hear it once you associate it with it. You can hear his voice in there, but he does enough of variation that you can get through that without being like, oh, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Even of the roles that he's done that we've mentioned, I think Doctor Strange and Sherlock Holmes are the most similar. But even those two roles are different.
Yeah, and he plays them vastly differently, and it's just the
Mm.
way that he did such a great job, and I never realized how high on Benedict Cumberbatch I was until I watched The Grinch like 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, "Oh, this is an amazing actor." Because like halfway through the movie, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's Benedict Cumberbatch." That was a big thing when it was coming out. It was like, Benedict Cumberbatch in this movie, and it was just like, yeah, okay, I forgot about that. But, anyways, that being said, how did The Grinch Steal Christmas?
Well, that's what I asked you, Wesley. How did the Grinch steal Christmas?
It is an interesting question because, like, okay, obviously, when we talk about him stealing Christmas, he obviously didn't steal Christmas because Christmas isn't like things, but that's what he stole. Um, so in the original movie, Whoville looks a lot smaller. Like,
Mm.
it just looks like there's a couple houses, maybe like it looks like like a village kind of a thing.
Mm.
Okay, so there's very few houses. So that means that he could go through and reasonably steal everything in all those houses in the amount of time that he has, right? Because I know in the Jim Carrey one, they show Santa Claus coming. So if you assume that Santa Claus comes to all the Who's in Whoville, and then he steals all the presents, um, you know, it'll give a different amount of time. But let's say he starts at midnight, and then by the time 6 o'clock comes around, he can reasonably have all these done. That's 6 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours. I always get confused with time. Anyways, um, don't ask. I just do. I don't carry the one.
What?
Anyways, so,
Okay, just keep going. Math is hard.
so,
Just keep going.
but if you look at it, like in the Jim Carrey one, is a whole town, like almost it's a city. It's a city there,
Mm.
big. Okay, there's a bunch of people there. And then in the new one, the Benedict Cumberbatch one, it's a big city. We even get to see a lot of it when like Cindy Lou's racing after the mailman, right? And she's going off the rooftops or whatever, and you see a kind of an overview of the whole entire city. It's a big place. So that being said, if he doesn't have the magic that everyone says that this is how Santa Claus, is able to go to everyone in one night. Sure, there's a way that you can go, and I think there's even uh do you know what that organization is that like keeps track of basically all the air traffic or whatever? They apparently on Christmas night have a thing and they track where Santa Claus is or whatever. Because technically with the way that the, time zones go, he can start in one place and go to everyone. Like technically he would be able to do that. Technically. But there still has to be some magic involved, which is what I'm getting at. If the Grinch doesn't have the magic, how does he go to all those houses and take all this stuff in one night? I mean, obviously, we're not going to mention the physics of him stacking it all up on the sleigh. That's definitely out the door.
Also,
But,
with all the decorations and stuff that the Who's put up and all the presents and stuff, do you really think a whole city's worth of all that stuff is gonna fit in that sleigh?
well, that's why it goes up, David.
I mean, yeah, but that's still only like one of those Who houses worth of
Yeah.
decorations and stuff.
Um. Yeah. Oh, I have two things to get to. I'm gonna do this one first because I'll probably forget this. So, in the original Grinch, they don't really dive as much into all the little details that he goes and does with the burglaring or whatever, stealing Christmas. In the other two, but in the original Grinch, um, you know how at the end of the movie he gives everything back, and in the Jim
Hmm.
Carrey one, they mention how well it looks like everything's all here and accounted for. Nothing to arrest him over. Which they say that just looking at it. I mean, obviously most of it's probably still there, but some of it could have fallen off. But like, what about what's been damaged, right? In the Grinch, the original '66 Grinch, there's like a camera or something, and he like tears it apart. He tears the film out and like, takes some other things and like breaks them. Like he actually breaks some of the gifts. And it's like, okay, you can give it all back. But not only did you, before putting it in bags, tear it apart, you stacked it up on top of each other, and everything on the bottom is probably like flat. So like, sure, you can give it back, but he's still damaged most of it.
Okay, but there's only a policeman in the Jim Carrey version. There's not a policeman in the '66 version, so he can't get arrested technically.
Okay, yeah, but but the point is, it's that they invite him in as if they let him carve the roast beast. Okay, so obviously they like are like, oh, you're okay, or let you back. But like, why? Because you destroyed all of our stuff. Even if you gave it back, David, if I took, okay, here, we both play video games, right? Right. I'm explaining this to you like you don't understand my concept, but you know what? I don't care. We're gonna do this anyways. So you play video games, I play video games. So let's say, and you've done this before. Let's say you let me borrow one of your games, right? Let's say one of your Xbox games, and they come on those discs, like just normal discs, right? What if when I went to give it back to you, it was all shattered in the box, and I'm just like, well, I gave it back. And you're like, "Well, I can't play it." It's like, "It doesn't matter. I gave it back. I didn't keep it." It's like, "No, you owe me a game." So, David, this is this is what I'm saying. I'm saying it doesn't matter. He gives it back. He broke it in the process, and now you understand my concept because obviously, you didn't understand it before.
Okay, but this is Whoville. Works under a different logic.
Oh, you know what? I accept that. Do you see my cat?
You got another cat?
Well, this is something. I think Sarah got this for Christmas, but they're little clips. What are they called? Clothespins? No, those aren't clothespins. Um,
Like,
clothespins are the sharp ones, right?
clothespins are the wood ones.
What are the sharp ones?
Talking about like a chip clip? Like for
No,
a
no, no,
bag of
no,
chips?
no. Like the ones you use for like clothing, and they have the point, and you clip them. I thought those were clothespins.
Wait, hold up. Wait, those are clothespins, aren't they?
So then,
Then what
what
am
are
I
these?
thinking of?
No, I know these. No, I know what you're talking about. This is the same thing. These are for like bags of chips. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put this out here. I don't know if I've done this before, but I collect whatever these things are called. The chip clip things. All that's coming to mind is bobby pins. And I know what those are. Those are for hair. Um,
Why am I not?
clothespins. They're not both clothespins, are they? No, that's stupid, David. Don't say that. What an idiot. Um, how do you look this up? What's a clothespin? This is the stupidest thing ever.
Why is this?
I don't know, David. Okay, so
No, wait.
clothespins brings up the wooden ones that you're talking about. So then what are the other ones? What is what I'm talking about then?
Wait a minute. Hold up. You hurt me. You're melting my brain.
Hey, blame that on the Christmas special from last week. It's done irreversible
A
damage.
safety pin.
Safety pin. Yes.
Why? Why?
Oh. All right. So
Oh.
the wooden things that you use on your chips to make sure they stay closed. That is called a clothespin. The things you use for clothing are called safety pins because they're definitely not safe. Where was I? Something with the Grinch.
What?
Are you okay, David?
Uh, you know
Okay.
what? For once, I'm actually a little glad that not many people are gonna listen to this.
Uh,
Oh.
I'm gonna clip this and make it a short.
I mean, it's comedic gold, but still, it's very embarrassing.
Yeah, the funniest things often are.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have this clothespin that has a cat on it that Sarah got, and I'm clipping it here, and now it's gonna be in every podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
that's my new thing.
here. It's a capo.
I got one of those somewhere over there. It probably,
I mean,
honestly, would
I
be
might not
better.
actually need that later. But anyway,
I'm gonna say,
what
yeah,
were we talking
you
about?
actually use yours, so you don't want to mess yours up. What we're talking about the Grinch, David. Do you not even know what this podcast is about? Come in
Grinch.
prepared.
Who's the Grinch?
That's it. Okay. Second question: what is a Grinch? Because at the end of the movie, right, when he's lifting up the thing, it says that he lifts or he's as strong as 10 Grinches plus 2, because for some reason they want you to do math in a kid's book, and they don't want to just tell you he is to do 12 Grinches. He can do 12 Grinches. That's not what I was trying to say.
What?
Oh boy. All right, so what I was saying was that yeah, he can lift the amount that 12 Grinches can. So that means that there's some. I mean, it's not like you can say, "Hey, I can lift what 12 Wesleys can lift." Okay, that actually makes sense because it's like me times 12.
Okay, so
Is the Grinch a Grinch or is like a Sasquatch? Are there multiple Sasquatches? I don't even know.
so
Honestly, I
yeah,
don't, like.
yeah, so I think the thing the point is the Grinch a Grinch or is his name Grinch?
Ooh. In the 2000s version with Jim Carrey, they talk about the Book of Who, and apparently they talk about a word with the Grinch and how it basically is like a bad thing. So, if his name is the Grinch, right? Then why did they name him the Grinch if the Grinch is like, you know, like would you name your kid Pooh? It's the best example I can think of. I know it's a bad example. It's a
Winnie the Pooh?
well, that's his last name.
Pooh Bear?
Well, yeah, but his name is Winnie. His middle name is and his last name is Pooh, but it's spelled with an H, so it's not the same.
Oh, okay.
Now you can name your kid Pooh Bear, but Sarah won't let me name mine. That's actually the whole statement. She won't let me name my kid because it's not completely my kid. It's her kid too, and she's like, no, we can't name it something from Star Wars or Pooh. Although she does love Winnie the Pooh, so maybe she would.
Worth a shot.
Everyone in the everyone in the family would kill me. My mom would kill me. Even her kids, she'd be like, "No, can't do that." My grandbaby. All right.
All right, we've gotten way off topic. I
What's a
don't even know
Grinch?
if we were what
That's what we were on. What's a Grinch?
a green Sasquatch.
Okay, so in the 2000s version, right, they show that babies come from the sky, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they still look like your boss, but, um, you get the joke?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You looked kind of just frozen, so I didn't know if I cut out, but fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
Trying to figure out
uh,
where you're going with this.
no, but what I'm saying is that means that like the baby was going somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Where was he going? Presumably another Grinch, since for all intents and purposes, since we don't technically know, even though he goes by Grinch, um, I mean everyone just assumes that he's a Grinch, you know?
So, on another place in this on the snowflake, is there a Grinchville? And is there a who lives outside of Grinchville who doesn't like whatever holiday that they celebrate?
I don't know what holiday a Grinch would like. Maybe the Who is trying to convert the whole town of Grinches, but then the Who ends up hating Christmas just the same.
Interesting.
So it's reversed. So instead, the Who goes down to the Grinchville, and he's like, "Hey, everyone here hates Christmas, but you know what that would fix that is if I decorated the whole place and gave everyone presents." And then he goes down there one night and he does all that, and then the Grinches wake up and they're just as mad as ever. And the Who's like, "Why not? Why isn't everyone happy? I decorated and I made everything look happy." And they were like, "You know, we don't care." And then he's like, "Oh, I
So
understand." And he doesn't care either.
so what would this be called? How the who gave Christmas?
The Who hates Christmas.
The who hates Christmas? Uh-huh.
How the Who killed Christmas.
How the who killed Christmas? So he killed Christmas now?
Hmm. Whose idea was this?
Are you asking or is that your suggestion for the name?
Yes. I think that the only proper answer to your question is yes. Because I mean, let's be honest here. You make that movie, and everyone's gonna be like, "Who asked for this?" Because that's the question that everyone asks for every movie, because every movie sucks nowadays.
Every movie either sucks or it's just nostalgia. And it still sucks, but it's got nostalgia in it.
I feel like I had another question, but I can't think of what it would be.
Another question about the Grinch.
Yeah,
Why is
yeah.
he green?
David, don't be racist.
Okay.
The clip from the Jim Carrey one. It's because I'm green, isn't it? Yep.
Yeah, we don't need to open that can of worms.
Yeah. And in our recap when I was writing it, um, I put in the part where it's like, he said I look like Santa Claus, and I was like, well, he's green, and you're like, well, Santa Claus is green now. I was thinking of trying to make a joke, but I couldn't think of anything uh, that would actually work, and I was like, I don't want to get shut down for something stupid. So that being said, how stupid is Cindy Lou Who? Like,
Which
how many
version of Cindy
times?
Lou Who?
Oh, all of them. How? Okay, not all of them. Jim Carrey and Benedict Cumberbatch, Cindy Lou Who, both of those. Okay, because let's be honest here, right? She had to have been thrown on the ground as a baby because both versions of her in those had met the Grinch beforehand. Cindy Lou Who in the 2000s version, even more so. But when he's in the house stealing the Christmas tree, she doesn't recognize that Santa Claus is green.
Maybe Santa Claus really is a Grinch, whatever Grinches are. And maybe the magic that allows him to go to every house at night is something that the species has, and that's how the Grinch is able to steal everything. And maybe they like living up north. That's why Santa lives at the North Pole, and that's why the Grinch lives north of Whoville. Wesley's just giving me this weird look, and probably rightfully so. Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing? No! Don't give me a, I don't know, plausible? I don't know if that's plausible or not. No. She's stupid. That's what I'm going with, not with your, baby.
I don't know. Like, what's worse, the fact that I came up with all that, or the fact that it actually, in a weird way, somewhat makes sense.
I know, right? I mean, like, let's be honest here. Why would Santa be an old, fat, white dude? It makes more sense for him to be a green Sasquatch. Now, it also does bring into the thought of he breaks into our house at night. But I feel like if he's not a humanoid, or not humanoid, but not a human-looking thing, it makes it a little less creepy, right? Especially if he
Yeah,
sees your kids while they're sleeping or while they're awake.
yeah.
All I'm saying is Santa's creepy.
Also, the fact that he comes down the chimney, so he doesn't have to break anything, so he can't even get pinned on breaking and entering, because he's technically not breaking in.
I I don't think that's completely how that works. Like in a technical sense, yes, but no.
And instead of stealing things, he leaves things.
Yes,
So is
but
that technically illegal?
yeah. Oh, yes.
And I mean, he might be watching people, but I mean, he's not actually there. So is that really considered stalking?
That's the farthest stretch you've made. It's like really, you're like Elastigirl over here trying to make stretch this stretch over here. Like, no,
Okay, well, let's move on from how weird the whole idea of Santa is.
we'll get into Santa Claus next week. So if you're in any way interested in that, then definitely stick around for next week. You know what? You probably should subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss next week's video where we will dive into um, Santa Claus and his weird addictions.
Addiction? Oh, hold
Practices.
on, what?
Hey,
Addictions?
don't tell me his I don't know. He does it every year, so he's probably somewhat addicted to it. But his weird practices.
Now, is he addicted to all that, or is he addicted to the milk and cookies? And he does everything he does so people will give him free milk and cookies.
In all honesty, most of the world would give him beer. So he's probably more of an alcoholic. That's where he gets his beer. He doesn't have a belly full of jelly. He has a beer belt. Here's a beer gut. And also, he is not safe to be operating that sleigh. So hopefully, those reindeers are in control.
So what you're saying is he's blackout drunk whenever he's doing everything. That's how he can move around so fast.
If you want to say that, sure. But David, how do you feel about having a drunk man break into your house? Especially
Through
if you
the
have
chimney.
just because he's creative with how he does it does not mean that he's right in doing so.
The worst part about that is, I could see a drunk person actually trying to break into a house through a chimney, and then when they inevitably get caught, claiming that they're Santa Claus.
Because it's the Santa Claus from Miracle not the Santa Claus, but when I say this, you know what I mean. Santa Claus from Miracle on 34th Street, going for the parade. He's just trying to get warm. Oh my, what a detour. David, I don't know what else I have to say about the Grinch, but we're diving into something that we're going to be talking about next week. So, what else
Yeah,
do you have final thoughts on the Grinch?
I think I'm done. Oh, this episode really did get so far off track. You have to stick around and see just exactly where we ended up, because I'm not even sure where all we ended up at on this episode. Oh,
Santa Claus likes. I don't want to. I don't want to finish that sentence.
don't finish that thought.
All right,
Whatever you're thinking, I know it's gonna be bad, so don't finish that thought.
I already finished the thought. That's the bad thing. Let's go ahead and dive into what's new with you.
What's new? What's new with you? What's new? What's new with you? What's new? What's new with you? Yeah. Yeah. So Wesley, what is new with you? Yeah, with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm eating a candy cane right now, which,
Oh, is that what you've been snacking on?
yeah. I've never been a big fan of them. I don't like the minty taste. This is pretty good though, low key, high key. I'm not hip enough to say either one of those. Um, I don't know if I've talked about this before. There was one time, so I used to work at Chick-fil-A, and at one point I was working with night shift. Now, keep this in mind. I'm 21 years old. So, and this at this time, I think it was like a year ago, or something like that. I'm working with a bunch of like 16, 17-year-olds here on night shift, and their vocabulary apparently got to me. Because one time I was just, and this, I don't talk in slang, especially modern slang. But I was talking with one of the guys, and I used the word in a sentence or whatever. I said something was fire. I completely, like, as soon as I said it, I stopped and I was like, what just came out of my mouth? I don't talk like that. And I felt so cringy because it was bad. Like, that's not something I say. And this is not really something that I say either, low key or whatever. Unless I'm talking about low key. But, I haven't watched the season 2, so. But,
Yeah, I haven't finished it
that's
either.
my,
But
that's my old man story for the day.
and the weird thing too is, so I used to work at a Tractor Supply. For those of you who didn't know, most people know me who listen to this podcast, so you already know that. But um, I so to work at Tractor Supply, you have to be 18. So I wasn't really working with a bunch of high school kids like you were. But the weird thing was like most people my age, I realized was like I feel so old just because most people my age make me feel old.
Some people
Like
who are older than me make me feel old.
there are people my age who do talk like that.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
I think TikTok has ruined people's brains.
TikTok is it melts people's brains, and we're talking about that from a uh, platform of we're content creators essentially, and so we use TikTok.
Or we're trying to.
Or we're trying to. It's not a every time but we're in the process of working on things. But
Mhm. Well, actually, let me
I
rephrase that.
haven't really.
I think the internet as a whole has ruined people's brains.
Yeah, and I will say like it's not all bad, but what gets popular is dumb. Now, let's be honest here though. Um, back when like okay, so not everything on like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube is mind-numbing, brain just entertainment. A lot of it is educational. You can find a lot of things on
Mm.
all these different platforms. Um, but if you were to go back a little bit, and I'm not saying I didn't have a device to watch any Vines on when Vine was big, right? But if you watch back on old Vines, most of old Vines was just stupid things,
Well,
right?
because
Kind of witty, but stupid.
vines were 6 seconds or less, so you can't really do any elaborate educational thing on in a 6 second video.
Well, no, you can't. But I'm saying that I think early day internet is really what's caused the problems, and nowadays, even though it is still really bad, um, it's just no hope. But
Hmm.
what I was saying, this candy cane, I usually like the actual candy flavors that they have. Those are the ones that I like. But that being said, how did they pass this as candy? Like it is candy, but it's a breath mint. It's a breath mint with stripes. It's a prison. It's a prison suited breath mint. It's a long prison suited breath mint.
Oh,
You know I'm right.
what's
It's minty. It's a breath mint.
uh-huh.
You're gonna break your teeth on it.
I mean, it's gonna rot your teeth because it's just solid sugar, but yeah.
It'll make your breath smell real good though.
Yeah, so like while your teeth are falling out, your breath's gonna smell real good, yeah.
Actually, it really doesn't make your breath smell that great. I think it tastes bad at least. Not taste bad, but it makes your mouth
Well,
taste bad. You know what I mean?
the thing with a lot of like mints and stuff is like the aftertaste is just yeah. Yeah.
If I don't have water, if it's not gum, I don't take breath mints. Like I hate those. I have to have gum because in my mind, at least, gum works. 'Cause you can kind of get it around your mouth. Usually with these, you just have one area that's like minty and the rest of it's bad. And the minty and the bad don't mix well together and it makes your breath just smell minty and bad. But
Mm.
if I can like drink something, like drink some water after the fact, like I feel like I can usually get that to help a little bit. But most of these things I hate breath mints. They're just not my thing.
Well, I don't like the like regular like hard uh breath mints, but I do actually kind of like the mint lifesavers and the soft peppermints, but that's about it.
Yeah. I used to like the soft peppermints a lot because they acted a lot like gum. I don't know. Did I have those when I was too young to have gum? Maybe. Might have been. I don't know. I remember I used to have them in church a lot. You know,
Mm.
kind of, I guess, to occupy me. Maybe just make me not hungry. It didn't take much to occupy me.
I mean, Growing up, I could literally play with anything. So yeah, that
I used to pretend I had a pen, and in church a lot of times when I would get restless and bored, I would have the pin on one side of my leg, right? And then I'd have have it literally jump to the other side. I pretended it was a person jumping across a river. That was the whole thing, and it entertained me for long enough. Or
yeah. I
sometimes
mean, I
I'd lay it across my legs, and I'd have a guy walk across it like my fingers, and I'd use my fingers as like to walk. That would keep me somewhat occupied.
I mean, I used to be able to play with leaves, so pretend they were people. So yeah.
Dude, we grew up very similarly. We grew up in very much the same. I'm gonna die. Very much the same headspace. Um, I never played with leaves. I don't think as people. Maybe I'm trying to block that memory out. But yeah,
And it wasn't for lack of toys. I had plenty of action figures. I just
yeah. You had even more than I did because you had two brothers. So not only did you have your own, but you had theirs or the ones that they had when they were younger, growing up. So yeah, I mean, I had to play with Barbie dolls and all.
yeah. It was growing up was interesting.
Yeah, definitely was. That's definitely a way to put it. That definitely was interesting. Have you been doing anything, David, in your more adult life here? Anything interesting
uh,
or
I did start rewatching The Good Place.
never seen it? I don't know about it. Sorry if you're talking with a mouth full of what I say, long striped uh
Prison Mints.
prison mints, yeah. But I'll try and not do that. But I've never seen it before, but I know about it.
Mm. It's a good show. You should watch it. But the seasons are short, so you don't really have much to get through.
I'll watch it after I watch both seasons of Invincible. Um, play Fallout, finish the game I'm currently playing, Ocarina of Time, and probably all the other Zelda games too. Um, what else do I have to do? There's something else I need to. There's some other things I know I have to. Hmm. I'll add it to the list.
Okay. Okay. Good.
The long, long striped prison mint list.
What? You have
I
a
don't know. I'm
striped
trying.
imprisonment list?
Yeah. It's like a wish list, but it's a prison mint type. Okay. Anyways. Um.
Uh, okay, Wesley. I think the Star Wars Christmas or Star Wars Holiday Special broke us because we are still like just can't focus even this week.
Yeah. Uh. Yeah. I'm pretty brain dead. Well, hey, David. Also, it's Christmas is right around the corner, and you know how you get when you're in school. Christmas is around the corner. I mean, that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're not learning anything. You're just ready for the 2 weeks
Mhm.
off for Christmas. So,
Speaking of which, I actually had my last final exam today, so I am done with school until January. But yeah, I'm done with.
yeah, I figured when you asked to reschedule when we did it, um, I told Sarah about it, and I was like, yeah. So I never asked, and I don't care. Like, if he needs to do something, like that's fine. I don't need him to tell me what's going on. But I was like, if I had a guess, I probably would say it has something to do with him doing school and he needs to study. And so I was like, you know, completely understandable to reschedule. And I'm not doing anything, so I'm good.
Well, that's actually not what. Well, okay. So I did spend most of the day Tuesday schedule or studying, but the reason I asked to reschedule is because we had a at work we had a Christmas party. I wasn't planning on going, but Courtney, my sister-in-law, who also works at the same place I do, wanted me to go. So that's why I asked to reschedule.
Okay. I don't really care either way. You got your things, I got my
Yeah.
things. We do what we do, but yeah. Next time you should just be like, I'm sorry, I got an obligation over here to do. Then you can get out of it, you know.
Mhm.
This is a get out of things. This is a get out of jail free card, David. I mean, you do have to like it's kind of like get out of one jail and get into another because yeah, you do have to spend time with me, and I know you hate that, but I'm less people. I may act like a lot of people. No, I'm not multi-personality.
I was
What
about
I'm
to ask
saying,
how many people are in your head?
what I'm what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, I may talk for a lot of people. I may talk as much as a lot of people on here, but I'm still one person.
So you're one person who talks like you're a bunch of people because you have multi-personality disorder.
Well, explorers, that's all the time we have for today.
This is gonna be a short episode if you end it right here.
Yeah, if we don't end it right here, though, I think we're just gonna be dragging on for nothing.
Oh, there is something though that I was I wanted to see if you could guess this. So, oh, my
Okay.
light's moving.
Why
I
is it
think
moving?
I bumped it with my foot and it started falling over. There we go. Okay. I don't know if you could see the light shifting on camera, but I
I
bumped
do.
it with my foot and my light started going like falling over. Okay.
For
But
dysfunctional.
1st of December, Spotify always releases their like your I guess all the stuff you've listened to throughout the year and like your stats, I guess. So I want to see if you can guess what my top stuff was. Like top
Oh,
song, top genre.
country.
Country is a top genre.
Yeah, I know that's about all I know about that. I don't know what your top songs would be.
Top
Let's be
song
honest.
is not country, though.
Oh, do you listen to Dax?
I'll get to that, but
Is it Taylor Swift? It's Taylor Swift, isn't it? You fell in
no,
love with Taylor
no, no,
Swift the
no.
last like month, and you just would listen to her song, and all of a sudden it just skyrocketed above everything else you listened to this year.
I don't even think I can name a Taylor Swift song.
Fair enough.
But no, my top song is "Sweet Child of Mine."
Okay.
I think
That's
it said
you
I'd
do,
I think it said I'd listened to it like 300 and some times this is both the past year.
you do like a lot. You do like a lot of old school rock and roll. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Now,
I do forget about that sometimes because I'm always like, oh yeah, country. But you you listen to a lot of old school rock and roll too. So
okay. Here's the weird part. So, top 5 artists are all different genres.
country, rock and roll, folklore, folk tale, whatever, yodeling, Taylor Swift.
Okay, so yes, there was one rock and one country, And the Sweet Child of Mine should give you the rock one.
So you listen to Guns N' Roses the most?
That's my number 4, Guns N' Roses.
But
Then
I'm
my
saying
number
you listen
3.
to Guns N' Roses the most of like rock and roll.
Uh, I mean, yeah, because well, Sweet Child of Mine, I think pushed it up more. But I mean, like you got a lot, like you got Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, why am I blanking? Knocking on Heaven's Door. It pretty
Forget
much
that.
seems, yeah, yeah. So
That's fair.
I've got a bunch of their songs in my rock playlist. Now, the my number 3 kind of surprised me because it is country, but I didn't think that this band would be my number 1 for country.
Luke Bryan.
No,
What's his name? Oh wait, who am I thinking of? Not Luke. Not Luke Combs. Who's Luke Combs?
Luke Combs is another country singer, but that's not it.
It didn't sound right. Um, no, but I was thinking of a guy. Um, Chris Brown, your favorite.
Not Chris Brown.
Well, I assume it's a Zach Brown band or whatever.
Yeah, Zach
You-
Brown band. I was surprised that's my number 3, Zach Brown band.
That's Kitchen Fry, right?
Chicken
Or chick.
Fried, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's theirs. I think that's like the only one I know that I know is theirs.
Mm. Like
That song.
yeah, Chicken Fried, Colder Weather, Same Boat. They've got a lot of really good
Oh,
ones. Like
I remember same boat. Hey, speaking of though, okay? I feel like I've talked about this before on the podcast. If not, I've voiced my opinion to you about this before. I detest Zach Brown. Kane Brown. That's what I was looking for. Um, his music sucks. Like his music is the worst of the worst. It's down there. How do you feel about him?
what's one of his songs?
Okay, so I'll say this much. When you hear him, you know it, and it's probably gonna make your ears bleed. I don't know what his songs are. At least the names of them. I know I've listened to his stuff before. I just it hurts.
Okay, yeah, I think I've heard some of his songs before, but
What are some of the ones he got? He gets.
you just say Chris Brown, right?
Um, no. Did I? Not Chris. Like Chris Brown. That's an R&B rapper, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So who are you talking about?
Now you're making me blank. What did I just say? Wait a minute. Who do you have
Life's
pulled
falling
up?
over. Chris Brown. Hold up.
Chris Brown pulled up.
He's the rapper. So wait, hold up.
Who's the country guy that I'm thinking of? I know it's Brown. Fuck, I said it, didn't I? Like I don't listen to much Chris Brown, but okay.
Okay, hold up.
I'm talking about a country pretender artist. Why can't I ever think of his name? I mean, I don't like him, but
Uh, okay, my light is like
Kane
really moving
Brown.
around. Hmm?
Kane Brown.
Kane Brown. Oh,
Right?
okay.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that who I said, or did I say Chris?
I thought you said
All
Chris
right.
before, but
Maybe I did. For anyone who's confused, like me and David are, um, the artist that I detest is Kane Brown. I don't mind Chris Brown. I don't listen to much of what he has, but I don't mind him. But I definitely don't like any of his songs. Um, Let's see. There's one specific. Okay, Heaven. No. Heaven is one of the songs. What if? No. Bury Me in Georgia, gladly. No, I don't hate him that much, but I mean, I don't like him.
You don't need.
I
We
know.
don't need anything incriminating here.
I corrected. I self-corrected. It was a joke. I don't hate him that much. I don't. Hey, it's just his style of music I don't like. He doesn't. I don't have to listen to him, and I don't. So, um. Anyways, yeah. How do you feel about this guy who we're looking at right now?
I mean, yeah, the song from the songs I've heard of his is not really too impressed.
I hate that like fake country, like okay, I don't go out and listen to country all the time, but I like country, and I know what's not country.
Mm,
And when it's not country, oh, I don't like that.
mm.
Like when it's
Now,
trying to be not, it's just
mm. Now the biggest point I wanted to make with talking about my Spotify thing is so
oh yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we?
yeah, so my number 2 is probably going to surprise you.
Two artists,
Yeah, the number 2 artist.
Taylor Swift. No surprise.
No, no, you mentioned him earlier.
Oh, Dax.
Yeah, I didn't realize I'd listened to Dax that much. That have
I
him as my number 2 for the year, but
Now you listen to more of his stuff than just the To Be a Man, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've listened to all of his like um bigger songs. They're all pretty good.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, I've heard a decent amount of his stuff.
yeah, but it just kind of surprised me that that was my number 2.
I guess.
Hold up, you're cutting in and out. What? You're still cutting in and out.
Any better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Well, then my phone's gonna stay over there. I was grabbing my phone, which is my hotspot. I'm using that to talk right now, and so that was why I was messing up. I was gonna grab it to see what my Spotify recap was, but it would probably mostly be podcasts because one, I listen to podcasts all day long most of the time, and two, that's all I ever use Spotify for,
Mhm.
which I'm using
Oh yeah,
Spotify,
and
but
you know what my number 1 podcast was?
it's not ours.
Yeah, it was ours.
You don't even listen to our podcast. You edit it, and that's about it.
No, well, I set it up on my computer and I play it, and I don't really listen to it. So I do that just to get us a
You're
play.
you're inflating the numbers. I don't think that's I don't think that's right. It's messing with it all.
Honestly, I haven't really done that in a couple months, but
Yeah, I've been slacking on. I used to. Okay, so what I usually do is about once a month I'll go back and listen to like the previous month's podcasts and kind of catch up, and I'll do that over a course of a week. But I don't listen to them regularly. I usually listen to them after like, oh hey, let me see how that sounded, kind of a deal, or oh hey, I don't remember what we said in this one, but let me go back and listen to it, and you know that's about usually why I listen. I don't usually listen to them just to listen anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore.
maybe I should go back and listen to some of them when we're talking about a topic that we've talked about before, so I know what we said, so that I can say something different.
When we talk about the Fast and the Furious the second time, I went and listened to the first one, but I still couldn't remember how we did the intro. We were both having to look it up.
Oh, and that original one was so cringy.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, this whole entire podcast is cringy.
Mm-hmm.
I know
Well,
it's
then
short.
again, then again, this one's intro is cringy too.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that's all you. So
It
I've had
usually
my
is.
I've had my fair share of cringe with these, but
See,
yeah,
I normally do
so
the cringy intros. You normally do the cringy talking.
it balances itself out.
Exactly.
Yeah. David, I know it's going to be a little shorter, but I don't have much else to say.
Okay. Well, then we can go ahead and head on to an outro.
What do those look like?
Well, explorers, that's about all the time we have for today.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode.
Let us know what you thought in the comments down below.
Or DM us at Down to Rabbit Trail IT. Yeah, we're all off. Alright, anyways. If you enjoyed this, like we said before, subscribe to the channel, leave a like down below, and as always, be sure to join us next time on the Trailcast.